Welcome back. On today's episode of This DJ Can Cook, we are doing meatloaf. Meatloaf. So, getting started with the meatloaf, I have a large mixing bowl. I have ground beef and ground pork. Now, to have a great meatloaf, you need it to be juicy. Cannot be dry. Using just ground beef, you could do it that way, but it's very dry. The ground pork adds richness, flavor, and moisture to your meatloaf. Very important. The ingredients, extremely simple. The technique, extremely simple. I'm going to have a nice glaze on the top. I'm going to show you how to make the glaze. And what's going inside this ground beef is going to be a nice little vegetable medley. I have some green peppers, red, just for the color. I have onion. I have an egg I'm going to beat into that. I have 1 cup of breadcrumbs, and the surprise ingredient that you probably have inside your cabinets, very, very, very easy, is going to be this. This 1 pack of this and this with that. Okay, so I started with 1 beaten egg. You can use 1 pack of this. I'm actually going to use 2 packs because I got a little bit more than 2 pounds of ground beef and pork mixture in here. I also have my breadcrumbs. I'm going to go right in there with the breadcrumbs. I'm also going to add about half a cup of ketchup. I'm also going to add a tip of hot sauce. Not really crazy with the hot sauce, just a little bit. Something I like to do. And I'm also going to add about a cup of just regular water. And then mix this. So I went ahead and added my finely chopped medley of vegetables. These vegetables got to be very small because you don't want to give somebody a slice and it's a big chunk of vegetable in there. So chop those really small. I added black pepper. I added the egg. I added the breadcrumbs. And feel your consistency. You really don't want this rough. It should be, kind of moisty. Like, this is pretty good. I'm probably going to add a little bit more water, a little bit more ketchup also. So I got my ingredients well incorporated into my meat mixture. And I'm going to show you 3 different ways on how to bake this. A lot of people traditionally go with the loft pan, that bread style pan. I'm not really a fan of that, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to do a loaf freestanding. I'm going to do cupcake style. You're going to love this. And I'm going to show you one more style. So in my oven, I have these cast iron pans that I love. They're more like single serving pans. I have them in the oven for 400 degrees. They've been in here getting hot for the last at least half an hour. We're going to cook some in there too. So we're just going to make like a nice little meatball out of this. Just roll it around in your hand. And I'm just going to go right in my cupcake trays with that. Very simple. Roll a nice little meatball. In the middle on my pan with a little bit of parchment paper, so it's going to be easy for me later on, not just for cleanup, for how I take it out. So I'm just going to make this really look like a bread loaf. And you're going to understand why I like this freestanding method, because we're going to put a sauce on this, and I like the sauce to be on all sides. This is what's great about this freestanding loaf. Rather than being in a pan where you can't get that sauce on the side, we're going to really get some nice sauce on all sides of this. And on my last baking style, I'm going with these cast iron pans. They've been in the oven. I seasoned them. They have a little bit of oil in them. They've been in the oven for the last 40 minutes at least. They're extremely hot because this style I'm getting is going to be more like a big hamburger. When I put this meat in this pan, I actually want to hear it sizzle. That's the great part of this. You're going to get that sear on the bottom, different from the other two styles. Listen to this. It's crucial that you hear that sear in this method. So just imagine this is going to be like a big hamburger. And as you can see, we're already sizzling down there. This is searing. Onto my sauce. I have a dish. I have about 2 cups of ketchup in here. We got a bunch of things to cover. I'm gonna put like 2 tablespoons of brown sugar in there. I'm also gonna put my favorite black pepper in there. And we're gonna mix that. So before these go into the oven, I got that sauce that I cooked up. If you see what that brown sugar did to it and the black pepper, I mean, this is gonna caramelize on the top and just be ridiculous. It has that sweet and also that tang and also that little bit of spice from the black pepper. So we're just gonna go over the top with this. You're not gonna go crazy because we're gonna go back in a bunch of times and baste this sauce on top of these. So just a nice little sauce to get it started. And we're going to just keep going back in and adding a little bit more and adding a little bit more and adding a little bit more until it really creates a ridiculous top. So remember what I told you about the loaf. You're going to be able to get that sauce on all sides. I'm just going to puff this up a little bit more. And then I'm going to go with that sauce. I mean, ridiculousness right over the top. You could use a brush if you want, but I just want to create that real layer of sauce on the outside of this. So same thing with these. I made the meatballs a little bit smaller than the actual hole so that that sauce gets in there and caramelizes up real crazy. So for my side dish, I'm going to do something very simple, Brussels sprouts. I love Brussels sprouts. I was introduced to them later on in my life, but I absolutely love them and they're very easy to cook. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Start, of course, with a very, very, very sharp knife. We're going to break these Brussels sprouts down, very simple. I cut the tails off and I cut them in half. That's it. Cut the tails off, cut them in half. Tails off and half. going in, olive oil, hot pan, y'all, hot pan. And the Brussels sprouts, very easy to cook. This technique is, I'm gonna fry them on their face. I want this part to get really, really seared and nice. So, hot pan on his face.
Doesn't take very long to get the color that I'm looking for, which is this. This is exactly what I'm looking for. This is what the rest of them catch up.
So, as you can see, a bunch of them are getting to that brown char that I'm actually looking for. At this point right here, I'm going to go ahead and add my onions to the top of this. Because they're already cooked. I'm going to keep it real with you. These cook so quick. Add a little bit of onion. And of course, remember I told you, when you add garlic, try to add your garlic closer to the end. Because when it burns, it's a horrible taste. So I got a little bit of garlic and olive oil mix I have here. I'm not going crazy with it. Just a little bit of garlic. And those leaves that broke off, I'm going to go right over the top with those because they're going to cook quick. I'm going to season, that ground black pepper is a must. Go with some pepper, and I'm going with that seasoning salt of your choice, the one that I like. I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to go with some chicken broth.
Why waste it? It's in your drawer. Just gonna throw one little pack on there. Ladies and gentlemen, your side is done.
Just checked on them. I'm gonna go right back and add some more sauce to the top. That's just gonna run down and get ridiculous.
Just gonna add some more. Nothing crazy. And your cooking time is gonna vary on these three variations. The loaf is probably gonna take the most time. Your muffins, definitely very quick. Those are almost done, as you can see. And your burger, a little bit longer, so keep your eye on it.
So what you want to do when you add your rice to your pot, you want to cover it with some olive oil. Some people prefer butter, but I like olive oil. The flavor is better and the health benefits. So what this is going to do is this is going to make sure that your rice doesn't get clumpy and sticky all in your pot. Nobody likes overdone clumpy sticky rice. I preferably like to toast my rice before I start anything. So add whatever seasoning you choose. I like to put a little bit of salt, a pinch. And you toast this up, and we're going to add some water to the top of this in a second. Another thing that I love adding to my rice, fresh cilantro. It gives your rice a crazy flavor, and it's really, really amazing. So you go ahead and you add that in here, and you mix that in. And in a few, you're going to cover this, bring it to a high boil, and you'll be good.
Okay, so it's been about an hour. As you can see, that sauce has really caramelized over the top. I had to try one. And Somebody look at this nonsense. Look at this. Are you serious? All right, let's put it together. Go ahead and add those Brussels sprouts, caramelized onion and garlic. I mean, ridiculousness. Grab one of these Playboys from here. Lay that right there. Just gonna cut right into that a little bit. See how juicy that is? It's not dry at all. Fully cooked through. Amazing. It's that DJ Will Meatloaf. Gabrielle cilantro rice. Brussels sprouts. Caramelized onions. Amazing. Now this was fun. This is my family style plating. Check this out.